Hello all. Look, we probably could have been in class today. It wasn't really as bad as it seemed. I didn't know how bad it was going to be. And so I kind of just, decided we'd just do this on a video. That way you guys can have a little bit more flexibility on what you do want to do with your Wednesday, heading into spring break, whatever you got. So a little quick thing on the rest of our balance stuff. And let me get my face out of here. And you can look at my rock sculpture. Not mine, but anyway, that's okay. And then a couple fun GIFs to get started with the kitties trying to balance. Yeah, get back on there, kitty. Is that cat that always looks mad right there. And then, man, I want that string. I just want it so bad. And look at his this little kitty's center of gravity is way out here, and he's like really struggling to not fall over and keep his balance. Okay, so let's talk about balance assessment. The first thing we do when we talk about a lot of times people say, "Man, I don't have very good balance at all," and really that's just a subjective kind of assessment of that. There's a number of different ways we can do it. We can just put somebody in say, hey, balance in this position, balance on one leg, and just kind of get an idea of, is this person struggling? A lot of times we use things like the Romberg's test or some of these balance things. Here's the Romberg's test. Romberg's test is just a kind of a progression of standing with your feet together, eyes closed, and then you can even take one leg up. Ultimately, sometimes we use balance to identify, is that causing more pain or exacerbation of symptoms. So Romberg's test is commonly used if this person has a concussion. We might say, all right, we'll check their balance. Can they, do they lose their balance? But also, does that make their symptoms worse? Because that gives us an idea of how much certain things, either the brain or in this other first picture, whether the ankle or whatever injury is affecting that person's ability to balance. There's a lot more objective balance, systems or ways of measuring balance that we can actually get a specific number. What you see here is the BESS, or the balance error scoring system. That's the BESS. The BESS is very commonly used. It's been well validated in evidence or in research. It's actually some of you that have done the concussion assessment that we do here at TLU. There's some portions of that include the BESS. And so you can see right here, there's 3 different positions, and you do that. You hold your balance for 20 seconds with your eyes closed, and you do that in a firm, a stable surface and an unstable surface. And then really what you're doing during that 20 seconds is just counting the number of errors. So they got to maintain this position. So every time we open the eyes, take the hands off, or try to take a step, then that becomes an error, and you just count the number of errors. And you can use that to get a good, obviously the more errors that somebody has, the less they have good balance. So you can use that, and that's something that is very easy to use. Other things you'll see is the star balance. In our clinic, we have not tape, but we have little felt things in this little star formation. We use it as a rehab tool, and so it can be used as a kind of an exercise to improve balance. That's the easy one, where we just, you can see that she's going to reach out as she squats down single leg in each direction. But you can also actually measure it, and so if you measure it, this is a fancy little mat that can measure it. You can use the non-fancy and just kind of put measurements on here, but ultimately that gives you a specific measure of how good somebody is. The other one that's a little bit easier if you're going to measure is just the Y balance. It takes the star balance and it just cuts it down to 3 different directions. So you're going to reach out the anterior, and really they slide this little bar, and it's all kind of pre-measured for you. You can see him going posterior medial, or he's sliding that back out. Posterior lateral would be that, and then you kind of add those up. You can compare that with the person's leg length, and you get a score. And so depending on how good or really bad your balance is, we may be able to identify, man, this person is getting better bad balance, or we need to work on balance. Or if this is an uninjured person, we can also, there's evidence that points to poor performance on the Y balance puts somebody at a higher risk of injury. And so we can identify injury risk on these situations as well. The final balance assessment is if you have a lot of money and you don't know what to do with it, you can buy a fancy machine. These are about $20,000 that give you really accurate, specific information. So, all right, so let's move on to the injury and weakness part. I think you have most of this stuff on here. We've been talking about this, right? So we've been talking about when we have injury and we reduce the amount of input, then we're going to be really relying on other balance systems, input systems, and this is the problem. You know, we talked a little bit about this in neuromuscular control too. We get if we have these situations, we're going to have this lack of stiffness. We don't have that input, and we load the joint, and now we have that either re-injury or excess, further injury. Acutely, when somebody has an acute, say we have an ankle sprain. Acutely, since we have this input is disrupted, we don't have the stability that we usually have. We put somebody on, so this is an ankle sprain. We say, all right, go try to walk. That damage right there, the person's not able to control their biomechanical function and that stable position. And so you could get a lot more motion, which causes pain. And so we do a lot of things in this first part to try to support that. So a lot of the taping, a lot of the bracing that is done in that initial stage is very helpful to increase proprioception, to increase the input, to increase the balance. And, it may just be mechanical, just an outside mechanical support, like an orthotic, specifically in ankle sprains. If like a little temporary orthotic can be made to keep them in a specific, biomechanical and basically subtalar neutral, which a lot of times allows that person to maintain balance and actually weight bear a lot earlier. I have a story that I could tell you if you ever remind me that I did this in graduate school, and I was like, dude, that's amazing. It works. It's kind of fun when the stuff you learn actually works in practice. All right, the rest of this we're going to talk about the types of balance, and so we've talked a little bit about this closed chain and kinesthesia, proprioception, right, that kind of stuff. But the rest of this, and you'll see in your notes, we're going to talk about the different types of balance exercises, and typically it kind of comes in this order. These phases of stuff. We're going to start with static, go to semi-dynamic, and so on. So when we talk about the static balance, as you look through these, I'm going to give you a bunch of examples, but ultimately for written exam stuff, when we talk about the phases of balance, you want to look at this: fixed base of support, stable surface. That's our static balance. We are, we're stable. Nothing. It's a flat surface, and we're not moving, right? So we're not moving at all, and so we can do the little plyo toss. We can do single leg catches. This is not a bad time. We can, as we toss to them, we can give them good passes. We can give them those passes that are real low and make them have to bend down, make them have to catch up high. Or we can also start to, as he gets better, we can also start adding some functional patterns with that. When he catches this, he goes into his shooting motion, or he goes around the back, or he does, whatever he does, or even catches and dribbles, but by staying on that one leg. So you have a number of progressions in static balance that you can go. To change that up, we just make the surface unstable to make it semi-dynamic. So now we have unstable surface. We have an unstable surface right here. So unstable surface, but we're not moving. Fixed base of support, so we're still doing it. This is actually the BAPS board. You might have seen this in our clinic. There's a lot of different ways that we can get an unstable surface, and there's a lot of different tools and things like that. We can go back to that single leg toss, but now we're on an unstable surface. So we can go on the trampoline, foam, and all that kind of stuff. Then, and that's just another, we can still making them catch and do that kind of stuff. Still semi-dynamic balance. Then we start moving, right? Then we start moving on a stable surface, and we start, this is moving base of support, stable surfaces. So now we can make them do all kinds of different things as we go through and progress to much more functional activities as we go through here. I put this, go back. I put that guy on there because I love his face. I keep him on there because his face is like super intense guy. All right, then functional balance is just like it says. Now we're doing the functional activities. We could have already been doing functional activities during the first couple phases, and we probably should have, but now the functional balance is we're actually doing the sport activities, kicking, running, throwing, catching, doing that kind of stuff. There is an extra category of balance, that this dual task balance. And this brings in the idea that sport participation, even though we're moving over a fixed base of support, this is stable surface, kind of maybe, but now it balances more than just that. As this person, he's avoided one tackler, and you can see he's going to land right here. His eyes are up. When his foot hits the ground, yes, he needs balance, but he also needs to make a decision on what this guy's doing, what this guy's doing here, what the next guy's doing over here, and so there's a cognitive aspect. Right now, he's not thinking about balance; he's thinking about his next move as we continue. And so this is the dual task part brings in the cognitive portion. When you talk about you can practice this. You can practice, a quarterback rolling out and throwing off one foot. Yeah, you can practice that. That's a good functional balance activity. The dual task balance is as he looks down the field, what is his receiver doing? Is his receiver going, going to go straight down and now he has to really throw it? Is he going, sideways and he has to lead him? Does he have multiple receivers that one is covered and he has to go down through a couple progressions? Those that basically takes that input system, and it takes the focus on that input of this balance off the balance and on to whatever sport skill he's doing. And I got a bunch of different, kind of examples when we talk about baseball. Fielding a ground ball, is the shortstop going to toss it to this guy, or is he close enough to make that play himself and then make a throw to first base? How's he going to get out of the way? There's a lot of different things that go on with all these things. So I gave you a whole bunch of different examples. Ultimately, this right here is how we kind of progress. We start with our balance exercise and we start going through that progression of that static, semi-dynamic, and we move through that. Hopefully along the way we can build in some functional activities. Then we'll get to the functional balance part. So we'll take our third baseman here, our infielder, we'll roll him ground balls, we'll have them start to move laterally and get the ground ball. Then we'll work on, all right, can you get the ground ball and get ready to throw? Can you make a throw? Can you make a short throw? Can you make a long throw? But then, so that's all balance stuff. But then now you have to go, okay, how do I get dual task balance? How do I get the cognitive stuff? So now when you roll him the ground ball, and the intensity gets higher, then you make your patient decide where he's going to throw, right? So a throw to second base or to first base or to home, they all have to be made really quick. And so those cognitive choices, again, that takes his cognitive functioning, his brain functioning. Basically, it takes the emphasis or that conscious awareness off the injured area and puts it back onto the sport. Still kind of forcing this balance to go into that subconscious realm. So make sure you understand dual task balance. This will be on your second practical assignment. I'll ask you to do something with dual task balance. And a lot of times people just give me a functional balance and they don't make that dual task. They don't give the person a choice and make them kind of decide while they're balancing. All right, that's what I got for you. I got, of course, some fun pictures of people starting to lose their balance. I hope he doesn't lose his balance because it looks like he's in a bad place. And then I got to this guy, which I thought, man, is this a real thing? What the heck is this guy doing? No, he's actually doing that. That's a real thing. All right, hope you all have a good break, and I'll see you back. If you have questions, come ask me, but I'll see you back next week.